This time on the Plutopia podcast, the unusual suspects, John Lipkowski, Scoop Sweeney, and Susie Sheeler, attempt to explain everything. We discuss the financial woes of that orange-haired politician, the Biden impeachment hearings, RFK Juniors, student loans, the University of Austin, South by Southwest, and much more.
So we said that we were going to talk about some stuff tonight, and I don't remember what we were going to talk about.
Whatever has been happening.
Do you?
Well,
everything, huh? Anything and everything.
We would keep it generic, meaning whatever shows up in your brain. And there, I've been following a lot of the news, and I'm just thrilled to see that certain people out there, he who shall not be named, is having trouble with his finances. It's just a sad story from what I hear. I'm not saddening me, but yeah. You think?
I'm gonna. There she is. There she is. Queer History.
Hey,
has joined us.
No, what is that?
Hello, Queer.
Oh, you know what?
It says Queer History, Our Stories.
It sure does, and there is a rename. I'm going to rename it because I signed under a different. There we go. I'm doing a history, working on a history program, gay history. Well, queer. Well, what it was called was Queer History, and so that's what it's about.
That makes a lot of sense there.
So yes, I came into a conversation here about someone with some financial issues. You were saying, anyone I know
can't raise a bond, and people are concerned. Not me, of course, but
well, that.
Well, I mean,
they've all said they get all their money from Russia, but then you say, okay, so whoever gives him the money, what is he going to owe them?
A whole lot, and that would have some national security implications that I think would cause them even more legal problems. So it's like they're going down multiple rabbit holes.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so here, fact-based John L. So the thing is that this guy's got to put a whole lot of money on the table in order to file an appeal. One thing he could do is blow off the appeal, but he doesn't want to do that. But he also doesn't want to cough up all of that money. And his argument is not that he doesn't have the money, but that it is so much money that it would impede his businesses, his many businesses, if he was to put all that money like away for a while he waits for the appeal to happen.
But he's got billions.
Yeah. So he claims.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, right? So the math doesn't math.
He owes billions.
Yeah,
probably.
But there is an argument to say that you could be a person with one or more billions of dollars, but much of that could be illiquid. I mean, it could be in. We already know that a lot of his holdings are real estate holdings. So maybe he's worth $1 billion, but mostly through real estate, and getting the cash together means one thing he'd probably have to do is liquidate. He'd have to sell some of those properties.
Well, and the properties you're talking about are not all his. Many of them just have his name on them. But that's the question, right? What does he actually own, and what does he just have his name on?
Yeah, it's licensing. What he has. He licenses his name to all sorts of places.
That's what it is. He's a brand. He's marketed himself, and he's done a great job up until his pride got him. That's what happens. But I mean, he's been able to deflect it so well that justice has evaded justice for quite some time, and I don't know if he will be able to continue to or not. I kind of feel like he can.
It's interesting that
it's an interesting
go ahead. His big money bankrolls from various Republican billionaires have kind of gone away, because his campaign chest right now is what, like 45 million.
It's not a lot. And every
Yeah,
that they send to the RNC has been promised by Laura Trump that it was going to all go to his legal fees. So
well, I mean, she said that as she was being appointed. Whether she can actually achieve that, who knows? If she does do that, it's politically very difficult for them. I mean, if they start taking all of the money that comes into the RNC and giving it all to Donald, then all of those down ballot candidates are going to be really pissed off.
yeah,
I
but
mean, Laura is not necessarily a bright bulb, right? She doesn't necessarily understand what the political implications are of this thing that she said. And those people are deluded enough to think that the base will think that's a really great thing, that they're doing everything they can to bail the boss.
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy.
And then he's going to go, once he seizes the presidency, he will pardon all of the January 6th people and go after his rivals and put them in jail. I mean, it's the first day he wants to be dictator.
Yeah,
So, you know,
he wants to run the country the same.
Yeah, but just for one day.
See,
He's only going to be a dictator for one day and then president for life after that.
right, because on the first day he's gonna declare that he's president for life.
Potato,
Sort of like
potato. Yeah, I mean,
There you go.
the same thing. Dictator, president for
Did
life.
you guys hear that Putin won his presidential reelection?
Yeah, there was a squeaker.
I know. I was a nail biter on that one.
I love the guy from I forget which one of the congressmen showed up at the hearing yesterday wearing a Putin mask, which I thought was just an elegant piece of political theater.
How much money have these people spent on this fake impeachment thing? I mean, it's like they did it immediately. It was one of the first orders of business after they finally got a House Speaker that first time. And I just wonder, so what now?
That's a good question. What now?
What now?
Yeah, their total lack of evidence. Every time they keep saying, "Show us your evidence," and they redirect us in some other direction. Well, oh, look over there, it's Elvis. It's like,
Yeah.
they dodge the question.
It's so horrible. And the way they keep calling them the Biden crime family, and it's like Trump has 90, I guess they dropped a few charges, but I don't know if those were part of the indictments or not. I don't really know how that works. But I mean, how do you call someone a Biden crime family? And then you look at the drugs that were going on in the White House when Trump was there. Dear God.
Well, Ronnie,
Xanax.
Dr. Ronnie was apparently dealing it out like he was a poker dealer. It's like, here, take 5.
I wonder what he's doing as a senator, because I have a feeling he might have himself a little addiction. Just saying. He got a lot of people hooked on what is that, Ritalin or whatever that stuff is that they give you when you get older. It's not Ritalin anymore. It's some kind of speed for ADHD.
Yeah,
maybe it was
Adderall.
Adderall.
Yeah, maybe it was
Adderall.
It was Hunter S. Thompson.
Well,
Ibogaine, which was his legendary drug.
Adderall is actually a name for what it's really called is methamphetamine salts. It's actually definitely speed, and it is very effective against ADHD or with ADHD. People with ADHD can focus much better when they take Adderall. So if you have ADHD, it just kind of makes you normal. But if you don't have ADHD and you take it, it would be like shooting speed.
Donald Trump
basically.
Jr. Like serious.
Yeah. In fact, Donald Trump Jr., who just published a video of himself looking either coked up or,
Adderall.
Runs
mean,
the family.
Adderalled up. I was trying to think of a clever way to say that, but yeah, I mean,
Adderall.
apparently having used some drug that accelerated his.
Really? It just happened today?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I just saw it today. I don't know that it just happened today.
Most of
Uh,
his videos are he has red eyes and he's yelling and he's just just like he's on steroids and Adderall or cocaine
there
or
you
something.
go. There you go. This
Yeah,
is
he's
this
old.
is the same person I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's
Definitely.
roid. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I do know. I mean, the assumption is that he's on that kind of thing.
Well,
That
that was
Adderall.
the same thing we were saying about President, what's his name, when he
Yeah.
was constantly sniffing and playing with his nose. Like, yeah.
Well, he was taking a lot of
Yeah.
Sudafed. He was taking a ton of Sudafed because it kind of is the same thing. It's got that dexamethasone or methodextrone or whatever. It because that gets your sign that takes care of your sinuses. So you've got this kind of, itchy nose all the time. I think that's what they said it was Sudafed. He's really weird about saying he doesn't take drugs. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, Sudafed is used by folks who like to manufacture meth. It's
Yeah.
That's why you can't just go in and buy a carton. I mean, a case of Sudafed.
You realize it's the highest it's ever been in 40 years. No, but it hasn't gone up. It hasn't spiked since then. It's like, no, but the 40-year high, Joe, the 40-year high, that is the spike. You think that it didn't go to 12, so that's a great thing, as opposed to virtually in my lifetime the highest inflation rates ever. People
No.
are hurting. They're hurting at the gas pump. They're hurting at the supermarket.
You get the idea.
They're
Yeah, he
hurting at
goes
the
a lot
drug house.
faster. Yeah, he's wrong about a lot of things too. I mean, which isn't surprising because his father thinks you need an ID to buy milk. They don't live in the real world. They don't know. And I honestly, somebody said the other day, well, if Trump dies, one of his sleazy kids will slide in under there. And first of all, the only one that I can see having the ability to even try would be the one we just saw. Uh, Ivanka wants none of it anymore. But I can see Junior getting in there and thinking that he has the love and adoration of the people the way his father did, and he's in for a big awakening. They do not like him. They don't like him. Nobody likes him.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of a
I
Donald
hate to hear you say that.
DJ TJ?
What?
Are you a DJ TJ fanboy? I mean, who likes this guy? Nobody. They love his father.
Yeah,
But
Maybe.
he's going to
Or-
suffer the same fate as RFK Junior.
And who did he finally pick as his running mate? It's a woman, right?
I think it was a
Who?
sock puppet.
I thought it was
RFK? I
RFK.
don't know.
He did make a choice, and I can't remember. I thought
he picked you. Didn't he pick you?
No, because I'm pro-vaccination. I got a mask right here.
Yeah, he probably would just have a sock puppet that he'll put up. This is my vice president.
Well, he was talking about Aaron Rodgers, which I thought would have been great.
Yeah, there's a
It's
great
what we
sock
need.
puppet.
Like Herschel Walker, bring all the football players in. Let's let them run the country. That's a great idea.
Well, I'm actually fond of the idea of running the Rock for president. So RFK Junior is considering Nicole Shanahan, an environmental lawyer.
I'm wondering though, okay, so these take votes away from Trump if they vote for third party, if people vote for third party, which is most likely what my family will do, because they just possibly can't bring themselves to vote for the one person who will ensure that we don't go down in flames and fascism. So instead of putting that vote there to make sure of it, they're going to put it over here because they want to shame this guy over here, right? it doesn't make any sense. This I'm not going to vote. There's never Trumpers, but never Biden at the same time. So does it help Trump or not? Or does it help Biden?
Well, I see him pulling away a few Democratic votes just from people who know the name, Robert F. Kennedy, and they don't think about the junior and the fact the guy's a nutball, and so it will pull away some folks who just aren't paying attention. But yeah, I'm not sure who his his clientele would be for whatever he's selling.
But not so. Is it possible that the independent vote or the third party vote could take away enough votes that no one gets to 270?
Well, I mean, who knows? Who knows how the RFK people are going to vote? I suspect that the people who will support him are people who might otherwise have voted for Donald Trump. But I can't be 100% for sure that he's not going to pull some votes away from Biden too.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, what can you do? It's actually kind of shitty that we have a two-party system. There should be an
Agreed.
accommodation for more parties. We should ditch the electoral college. I mean, there's a lot of things that should happen that might make the USA a saner place.
Yeah,
politically.
Look at the way a lot of the European governments are formed. They have multiple parties, and they usually have to do a coalition government where party A and party B get together, and they are vaguely compatible, and they form a government. And that sounds a lot more sane than this thing of we're basically like Arkansas. We're inbred. It's like you're either Democrat or you're Republican. You don't have a choice.
That's right. That's true.
So the question that the Republicans are asking right now, an age-old political question: are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And a lot of people think they are,
including Donald Trump.
Think they are not. I was going to say, no, there's a lot of people who think that they're in worse shape than they were 4 years ago. And these are people who are feeling some nostalgia for the Trump years and thinking about voting for him because, I guess they kind of forgot. I don't know. But and they're feeling like things have been rough, right? And I'm sorry. I'm recovering from a cold, so I have a bit of a cough. So they think that, they think that the economy is not doing well, but it's because their economy is not doing well. And we have to kind of wonder why that is. And I think why that is because we went through a period of inflation and prices just went through the roof and they have not come down. And I see that in my own life. I mean, I was shocked today. I was buying a bottle of olive oil that used to cost $5 and it costs $10 now. Yeah. I mean, prices doubling like that's stressful.
Yeah, one place where the economy is booming is in the stock market, and it didn't boom like that during the Trump years because starting with Biden's administration, it's gone. I think it was like around
it's broken three.
It was around 19,000 or something, and it's almost to 40,000 now over the last 4 years. So, not everyone's involved in the stock market, but that affects a whole lot of the economy. If the stock market tanks, then a lot of other things go down as well. But if it's going up, that's actually helping the economy. And one would hope eventually some of these companies will start dialing back on all the price increases.
It's always a question of whose economy is getting helped, And right now, the economy is working, but who is it working for?
Well, as
Uh,
a recipient of the student loan forgiveness, me,
yeah.
yeah, I got my student loan forgiven. So, there's
Congratulations. I would have baked you a cake if I knew that.
thank you very much. I
There
appreciate
you
it.
go. There you go.
Pissed off a few people I know, older people who for some
Oh,
reason,
really?
yes, yes. If you why shouldn't you have to pay your debt is what I got. And I'm thinking,
Well, I paid off my student loan, many, many, many years ago, but it just wasn't that much. I
right.
suspect your student loan was probably a much bigger hunk of money than mine was because it used to be so much cheaper to go to school.
And
Yeah, that was
some of it was even free. Like if you lived in Houston, you could go to Rice for free. There were other schools like that around. So yeah, no, I think it's this jealousy thing is so bizarre though. This whole if I had to live through the Great Depression, so should you kind of attitude that I don't get. You
yeah.
know,
I get a reaction from younger folk when I talk about how much I had to pay for my education at University of North Texas. At that time, it was North Texas State University, and it was a princely sum of $75 a semester. That was my tuition, and
well,
that didn't include the books. The books were not all that expensive either. They sold used books, so you could get by on not a lot of money then. But now, I looked at UNT's tuition. It's like, well, I don't think I can afford it.
and they made us if you were a freshman and a sophomore at UNT, the first 2 years you had to live on campus in one of their dorms.
Oh
So
yeah,
so you can even save money that way.
yeah.
By holding it which I finally did I ended up living with like 20 other people because oh my God, it was so expensive.
Yeah. In my era, women were only allowed to live in the dorms, and if they were seen entering the apartment of a male student, they and the male were immediately tossed out of North Texas, and
Wow.
told to never come back. It was very interesting administration they had.
Yeah, it was. I love that school. I love that. I used to. It's since the Flying Tomato burned down, everything is different, and I can't
I
go there.
I loved it just because I could go and watch the 1 o'clock band, which was the jazz program they had that was just legendary, and it created a lot of great jazz groups and jazz artists. And
Well, a
I,
lot of good music came
I
out of that.
I was a big jazz fan at the time, and that was just the place to be because you could go to school and then go see decent music being played.
Really good music. Yeah, really, really good. I don't know what it's like now, but even when I was there in the 90s, they just had great bands. It was hard to see a bad band because they wouldn't book anybody who didn't
Mhm.
meet a certain bar. That's where Edie Brickell got her first
Yeah,
break, was an open mic night for the New Bohemians.
yeah. A
And
lot of artists were passing through North Texas. I think Roy Orbison passed through briefly, and various other folk in rock and roll. And it was just a place that was not like the rest of Texas. It was kind of a small Austin kind of thing back in those days. It was considered a party school, but it was very progressive in its politics. I encountered my first SDS people at North Texas.
excellent. Yeah, it was we used to say it was like there was an acid curtain that you drove through because when you got into Denton, it was not it was no longer part of this earth. It was a completely different vibe.
Yeah, it stands out in North Texas, which North Texas is always notoriously conservative and still
Right.
is.
Right. Again, I don't know what's going on there now. Did you guys hear about this University of Austin that Joe Rogan is opening?
No, Joe Rogan's not opening that.
He's
It's
not.
other people.
Oh, I thought Rogan was
No.
behind it with Elon Musk and a couple other guys. Who's doing it? Is it
No.
Alex Jones?
No. I can get the name for you. I should have that on the. I mean, I've looked
So
at
were
that
they
before, and I should.
Were they at South by at all? These guys?
I didn't see anybody. It's intellectual dark web people,
Yes.
or at least they used to call it intellectual dark web. And they're kind of, I think they're kind of right wing, but they're also just kind of. It's weirdly difficult to figure out exactly how to categorize them as compared to like very typical right versus left. But they are, they do kind of lean to the right.
Like technical school,
and they worry about wokeism, They say, well, this isn't going to be a woke university.
Well, but it's not a university.
Okay, let me see. I can tell you here, though.
They can't possibly be accredited. I will.
Okay, the president, the guy who's actually put this together, the president is Pano Canalos. His name is Pano Canalos.
Okay.
What
And
was his claim to fame?
the list of founders is Lawrence Summers, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Kathleen Stock, Andrew Sullivan, Peter Boghossian, Nadine Strawson, and Arthur C. Brooks. And the only one in that list I know is Andrew Sullivan. And Andrew is, he's a pretty right-wing guy. He's a gay right-wing guy, actually.
Oh, fuck me. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, university is not, it doesn't, you can call yourself a university and not actually be an accredited university. And
well, they're trying to become accredited, though.
But
they're actually working on it.
Like, are they going to teach? Are they going to fulfill all of a university's? They've got to have.
It's a liberal arts university.
A conservative liberal arts. That's really what we need. Yeah, I smell a Trump University 2.0 coming on. Really.
It's not. It's at this point, it's not a real university. I mean, you couldn't go there and get federal financial aid, for instance.
It's
just something that they're working on.
It's just a money suck for conservatives who don't want Junior to get woke, so they
it sounds like
I don't know. I'm not sure about that either. I don't think of these intellectual dark web types as being exactly like your typical conservative, like your right-wing Nazi crazies, but they are. I mean, they're. It's just a weird other thing. Okay, let me show you. Hold on a minute. Give me just one sec so I can share my screen again. It's for people who dare to think. The University of Austin is dedicated to the fearless pursuit of truth.
Sound like they're hunting truth.
Here's a nice picture of Austin, and there's a little video here. If you
no, I'm all right, but let's see what the what's
okay. So here's their undergraduate program here. So
okay.
We'll look at their undergraduate curriculum. Immerse students in a vibrant community that emphasizes academic rigor, civil discourse, and intellectual risk-taking. Now, this gets to the thing where conservatives say that the people on the left are trying to shut them down and not allow them to express their ideas. So here is a place where you can go and express your ideas, right? Powered by the great productive tensions of human life, reason and revelation, tradition and innovation, freedom and necessity, the majesty and humility of man. Notice man, not woman. We believe the most fruitful innovations spring from a thoughtful engagement with tradition, and that how we live is the ultimate measure of what we know, et cetera, et cetera.
They got
so there you go.
They got accredited here in Texas.
So, So this first thing is intellectual foundations. Well, of course, they're accredited in Texas. Intellectual Foundations Program, and then Centers of Inquiry and Junior Fellowship, and then something called Polaris Project, which is, there you go, like the North Star by which seafarers have navigated for millennia. Our 4-year Polaris Project will orient students' educational journeys through college and beyond.
Okay,
then here's the faculty down here. If you want to see the faculty, you notice
they are not accredited. They are not accredited. It says that they are in the midst of trying to be accredited.
Yeah, they're trying to get accredited. So they have a, fairly legitimate looking faculty here,
They got a little red hat there.
I mean,
look at the woman.
They're putting something.
What is wrong with these MAGA women? The one over right there.
Which one?
Why does she look like she's
her?
Yes. She's
not necessarily a MAGA woman. We don't know that.
She looks like she's gonna. I don't know. They all look like that. Well, she doesn't.
Yeah, and she doesn't either. I mean,
look at that beard.
This guy, the beard.
Yeah.
There you go, man. Father Maximus Constus.
Father ZZ Top.
Professor of the Humanities.
Oh God.
No, I mean, there may actually be some legitimacy to this. I'm not completely dismissing it myself. I mean, I've had a lot of issues with the kind of like what is it? The kind of ecosystem that this has emerged from. The Barry Weiss world, for instance. Barry Weiss was one of the first promoters of this thing. I think she was the one who actually announced that this university was forming. But there's smart people. There are smart people involved, and they don't all necessarily have bad ideas, or not all their ideas are bad. But they're not aligned with the left very much. They do tend to definitely swing to the right, but I'm not sure exactly what that even means. I mean, I'm not sure whether we're talking about a cultural right versus left, or an economic right versus left, or whatever. The thing is that if they're really about inquiry, then they shouldn't consider any ideas as foreign. They should be willing to listen to ideas from the left as well as from the right. And if their issue is that they think that the left has suppressed them in some way, one thing is, I would point out that the left isn't out burning books.
Yep.
As far as I know, I don't see that happening. But also, I say, if you feel that the left has suppressed you, okay, but don't suppress the left. I don't care. I mean, I don't see myself as being a left wing or a right wing person. I'm kind of like, I don't like to engage in a system of labels like that. But there are a lot of weird beliefs that people have right now. And the weirdest and most dangerous tend to be percolating over on the right side of the spectrum. And that just scares the hell out of me. So even though I like to try to feel more independent about my political thinking, I know where the danger is right now, and it's not on the left.
Yeah.
I'm sure the left could have dangerous elements too. I mean, there were people when I was, in college, for instance, there were people who were saying, like, smash the state. They were talking about doing the same kind of stuff we're talking about now, do away with the government and all that stuff, anarchy, craziness. And that was coming from the left. It's just moved to the right. I mean, it's odd to me in a way that I hear the same things coming from today's right that I heard from left at the time.
But you didn't see any leftists shooting people in a school or at a gay club, or that's, that there is a
It's
huge,
true. That's true.
Yeah, I
huge,
saw a lot of the anarchy.
Well, there were
Uh,
leftists that were planting bombs back then. The
those,
SDS, et
okay,
cetera. I
no,
mean, there were bombings and shit.
not
But
SDS.
there wasn't anything like the Murrah building, you know.
Right. And that
But-
wasn't SDS. That was the Weather Underground.
yeah,
It was-
the whole anarchy.
I'm sorry,
thing,
you're right.
I saw it come through, you know, in the news basically because I was plugged into the, you know, the new left, and there was only a certain number of folks who were really, dangerous folks that were, literally wanting to go out and smash the state and shoot things up and drop bombs. But that was, a small number compared to the folks who just wanted some political change and wanted to have their rights defended and reinforced. And that was, the basic, movement, and the, the anarchy thing that came out again during the punk era. Everybody wanted to be a punk anarchist, and it's like,
Yeah, but the punks were really gentle souls, they weren't really.
Well, it's
they
the same thing.
liked to look dangerous, but they were really, they weren't.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's kind of like this thing that's happening on the right is a lot like the thing that was happening on the left back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the left that was doing it. It's not really. I mean, I don't think these like Proud Boys, et cetera, are conservatives. I don't think Trump is a conservative. I don't think they're that kind of right. They just want to burn things down. Look at Steve Bannon. He's always talking about tearing everything down. They just want to tear shit down.
He's an
It's
anarchist.
crazy.
The rest of them
Or Trump is really an opportunist. Trump just is a grifter.
Yeah.
All he wants is to feed his pockets.
Yeah, he will, spout off about almost anything that he thinks will get him money or attention. And he found out that racist dog whistles and fascist dog whistles work for his followers. So he's all in for the whole fascism thing until he changes his mind and goes some other direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think it's money that he's after. I really don't think he's ever cared about money. It's just that he knows that powerful people generally have money. It's all about power for him. And the two are not the same, right? Because you may have money and be powerful, or okay, let's take, for example, you get pulled over by a cop, right? You're a black man who is the CEO of a bank. But when, the cop pulls him over and walks over to them, is making what, $60,000 a year or something. But who's got the power in that situation? It doesn't matter how much money that guy has in the car. That cop has a gun. So I think that power is way more important to Trump than money, because he's lived on the facade of money. He's never really had. He had it for a minute and then he blew it all. Bankruptcy, how many times?
Well, I don't know. I don't think that's true. I think he has lived like a very wealthy person.
Yes, but
he's leveraged. He's heavily leveraged all the time, but he's actually living like a wealthy person, and
so do powerful.
And
that's my point. He bullies people into treating him a certain way, and he makes them believe that he has money.
Yeah, he's living off of OPM, other people's money, and
right.
he's gotten in trouble because of some of those activities.
Yeah,
where he's had people contribute to his various projects, and they got screwed, and he didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed it. South by Southwest with Stephanie Clifford, aka Stormy Daniels.
I know.
She was there. I was going to talk about South by Southwest tonight. I could, because I saw a lot of very interesting things there. I saw people who were growing mastodons,
Their own
I
server?
saw,
Or actual, like, old, like, cloning an actual
well,
master?
no, it's Ben Lamb of Colossal. That's the company that is actually, they're referred to as de-extinction. That manipulating DNA. What it is they have this ancient mastodon DNA, and it's not perfect,
I feel
but
like I've
it's
seen
enough
this
that they
movie.
feel that they can combine it with elephant DNA and create something very much like um, mastodon, the actual mastodons. And the reason they want to do that is that they think that if they can breed a population of mastodons, that will have an impact on climate change, because the mastodons, I don't completely understand what it is. I think it has something to do with the way the mastodons interact with the environment, that they the mastodons in effect engineer the environment through their activities, and it becomes fewer trees and more like ground cover, and the grass tends to be cooler than the trees or whatever. So that's part of it. But the other thing is that we have a number of animals that are in danger of extinction, and one thing that they're doing is they're capturing and storing DNA.
Wow.
So there's that, and they talk about rewilding, and they talk about that. Obviously Jurassic Park comes out, and they say, well, we can't really create dinosaurs, but we think we can create something very much like a mastodon.
Well, I can see
So that's one thing.
The mastodon might replace the cattle which is a big impact on our environment. Cattle, cow flatulence is a big polluter. And maybe mastodon flatulence is, smells like.
Yeah, mastodons fart too, I'm sure.
And we could have mastodon burgers.
Cows generally don't pass gas. It's the feed that they eat that makes them do that. So it really is an us thing. If we just let them eat what they're supposed to eat, then they don't have a natural gas passing thing. They don't really pass gas. And when they do, it's not, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I get gassy when I eat hay too.
Yeah, it makes me kind of, yeah. No, it's the feed. It's the special feed that they get. I don't know. But the mastodon, I mean, the Jurassic Park thing, I just have a question, and let me see what your minds think of this. So, a mosquito cannot pass the HIV virus, right? It can't do it. Doesn't do it.
Can't? I thought it could.
Doesn't do it.
They can pass other viruses. Why can't they pass HIV?
I don't know. Have you ever heard of anyone getting it from a mosquito?
I can't say that I have, but I
know some
really
people who claim they
it.
got it from a toilet seat, and we know what that's
right. Well,
blame toilet seat.
There is no evidence that mosquitoes can transmit HIV from the NIH. So my question therefore becomes,
oh well, they're good. Here's something that I found something online that will explain why. It says that, and it has to do with the way HIV replicates, I think.
Real quick. Hold on. Okay, so my question is, because I think you're about to tell us how it happens, but in that, why can't we recreate whatever it is so that we don't pass it on anymore? I mean, there should be a way. What is the machinations that make it stop and non-transmissible anymore? And why haven't we been doing that?
It says here, HIV is actually not very easily transmittable. You have to transmit a large amount of the virus for somebody to actually get HIV.
So we had a giant mosquito.
So even if some HIV was in a mosquito's body when it bit you, there wouldn't be enough there to make you sick. So it has to do with how much is transmitted. And the thing is that people who are having persistent sex or persistent use of needles or whatever, they could be getting much higher viral load than they would get from a mosquito bite.
This one says it would
So
take
there you are.
1 million mosquitoes that fed on a person with AIDS, then continue feeding on a susceptible person to get one transmission. That's a lot. I thought it was just some sort of like mechanical thing in the body that just shut that down. That would have been so cool.
I don't know.
But we have PrEP.
Yeah. So, well, let me mention also that I went to multiple AI panels.
Okay.
At South by Southwest.
How
Saw a
was
bunch
it?
of movies. Saw especially a great film. I have there's a guy that I know, Friedrich Moser, who brought his film this year to South by Southwest called How to Build a Truth Engine. And it is really about how disinformation works.
Wow.
And quite a bit of it is, the initial parts of it are talking about how the brain works to process information and kind of how disinformation works with those processes. And then he gets to, things especially about people who are trying to find and convey the truth of a situation, like reporting. It showed the New York Times visual reporters that were reporting specifically on Ukraine, that sort of thing. Anyway, that was pretty great. And I met with Fritz afterwards, and one of the guys with him was one of the people featured in the film, a guy named Vani Roy Chowdhury, who he's like a professor who has built something called Story Miner that they use to do an analysis through the internet of stories that are popping up and emerging and showing how they aggregate and that sort of thing. So that was pretty interesting. And then these AI sessions, they're talking about by 2029 you'll have computers that are as smart humans, or as smart as the human brain. I don't know. I mean, they seem to know what they're talking about. I don't know whether that's really true or correct. What I kept thinking when I heard all of this talk about AI was, how are they going to power these things? I mean, I've already been hearing a lot about how the LLM AI modules that exist now, things like ChatGPT and Gemini and the various other, like Claude is another one. So they're building these language learning modules, and they suck a lot of energy in order to do what they do. So it's sort of like, we all know that Bitcoin miners also suck a lot of energy. So the thing is that there are things that you could envision doing, and that you could imagine. So for instance, you can imagine a robot who is a humanoid robot that's as smart as a human, that's autonomous and walking around. But how are you going to get a powerful enough battery for that guy to walk more than 3 feet, So I have a lot of questions and issues about that. Ray Kurzweil was there, and I saw his session, and he's still just kind of talking about the stuff he's always been talking about. The singularity is coming. I think his new book is called The Singularity is Still Coming, or something like that. Anyway,
Great.
So what is the singularity? He said, well, we started calling it the singularity because we were thinking about, like, in black holes are referred to as singularities, and you don't really know what's in there because it's a black hole, right? And he says, well, we don't really know what the singularity is gonna be. Now, I don't really think, he says the singularity basically is called that because we don't really know what it is or what it's gonna be. The other definition that you hear is that it's when we reach the singularity, we've reached a time where tech growth has become uncontrollable and irreversible. And that's not what he was saying, but I think that's what I typically think it is. there were some robotics people there talking. We had some robotics people from the University of Oregon on our podcast at one time, and they were talking about particularly trying to teach a robot just to grasp with the robotic hand and how incredibly difficult that is. And this was coming up here too. It's talking about, well, in some ways it makes sense to build humanoid robots because you want them to operate in an environment that's built for humans so they can move the way humans move in that environment. So there's some rationale for making humanoid robots. I always thought there kind of wasn't much myself, but I mean, build robots that are built to do what you want them to do and have them more targeted in what they do. But we're talking about now about artificial general intelligence and general operations of robots and AIs. So there's this. I mean, I think they've always kind of thought in terms of wanting to build a humanoid robot, but it's hard. It's hard to. You have what they call actuators that control the movement of the robot, and to replicate muscle behavior with those is very difficult. Anyway, so I went through a bunch of stuff like that. I saw some really good movies. Probably the best movie that we saw was called Sing Sing, and it had Coleman Domingo in it. It was about a theater group within a prison, and it was a true story. And what they showed is that they radically reduce the recidivism of prisoners by getting them engaged with the arts, specifically through this theater group. And the actual movie was just a kind of dramatization of kind of what went on with that group at a period in time.
So our prisons are going woke.
Yeah, there you go. Woke prisons.
Yeah, we need more of that.
We're going to stop the recidivism by opening them up to literature and plays and music and art. But then then that's woke. I don't even think
well, there was a character in there who was a really hard-headed character, and who, through his engagement with drama, opened up to be, kind of like all the shit that was bottled up inside of him. He kind of like was able to release and was kind of open up to other people and quit exploiting people and start being, more of a genuine human being and that sort of thing. And that was a real guy, and the actor who played the part was the actual guy.
Oh, wow.
Most of the guys in the movie were guys who had been they had been in prison, and they had been part of this prison theater group. So of course they had learned how to act, so they acted in this film.
That's cool. That's cool.
Powerful stuff. It's called Sing Sing is the name of the movie. And what else did we see? We stood in line for 2.5 hours to see The Fall Guy, and we still didn't get in. So I still haven't seen Fall Guy.
I think you were the fall guy. You fell for that one.
I was the fall guy.
Good for 2.5 hours on the street.
We did.
Yeah, after 15
I mean, it's a very popular movie. It was a very popular movie.
Actually, is it based on the Bionic Man guy who played the Fall Guy?
I have heard that it was, but I don't think it really exactly was. It seems to be a fairly new and fresh thing.
So it's not the same.
Maybe it was inspired by it. Maybe you could say it was inspired by it. We saw another one called Sasquatch Sunset that starred Jesse Eisenberg and Riley Keough as Sasquatches. So they were like totally inside of these suits,
Wow.
And it was really quite good. And it was not, we thought that it was going to be some kind of comedy or something, but it was actually a very, I don't know quite how to describe it. It's not a comedy though. It's it's got some funny parts in it, but it's not a comedy.
The trials and tribulations of modern day Sasquatch.
They don't speak a word of English, and I mean it's all just grunts and groans, you know.
See, now I can't watch. Now I can't watch it. I was.
That's
Have
pretty
you
good.
seen Poor Things with Emma Stone? It's called Poor Things.
Poor
It's one.
Things. Yeah.
One. I couldn't watch it.
Oh, Poor Things. Yeah. We watched it a second time when Bruce and Yasmina were here. Well, I thought Yasmina needed to see it, so we put it on. It's great. What was your problem with it?
She's one of my favorite actresses, but I just kept thinking of Nell, Tay in the Wind, and Nail. Remember Nail? That movie with Jodie Foster and Nail and
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Chickapay.
No, this is real different. You really need to watch this whole thing, Susie. You didn't really get to you would appreciate it if you saw the whole thing.
All right, I'll try.
And you can see it. You can watch it on Hulu now.
I love her. I love her. I just kept thinking, oh God, why?
It's kind of an amazing performance. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. And the authority of that performance is just, it's very impressive. I mean, she deserved those awards that she got.
She's a very good actress. I like her very much.
Yeah.
And she's best friends with Taylor Swift. So,
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's a win-win right there. So what's gonna
there were a lot of we were at South by, there's all kinds of like celebrities running around and all that. We didn't really try to see all the sexiest stuff though. We just kind of followed our noses to the stuff that we thought would be good. I only went to one musical performance, and it was by a woman of Japanese descent who's actually British, from London. Her name is Hinako Omori, and she plays electronic music that's very kind of lush and beautiful. And she was the one musical of all the musical performances. She was the one that I recognized because I had heard her music before, and she was quite good. She was over like the Empire Control Room,
Very cool.
Well, just wandered over there and watched it.
We're on our final 60 seconds there, and
South by's over this weekend, right?
Time flies.
Sunday's the last day of South by, right?
No, it's already over. It was over last weekend.
Oh, okay.
Last Saturday was the last day.
So it's safe. It's safe to go out, Susie. You can leave.
Well, South Congress, there may be a rot rally. I don't know.
What kind of a rally? Who are we rallying for or against?
A rot rally. Everything rot.
Riders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've still got the rodeo going. I get all the rodeo traffic through our neighborhood. Everyone's going to the rodeo.
Damn, I missed the rodeo. I can't believe I missed the rodeo.
From Amazon, and they said that I could pick it up at the rodeo if I needed it right now.
Pick it up at the rodeo.
That was an option for me as I was trying to click the delivery.
Yike. What do they have?
We ran out of time. Now, what am I? Okay, I apologize. I didn't do what I'm supposed to do, which is this. This shows that we're out of time.
There we are. There you are. And
that was a lot of fun,
folks. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Everyone be safe.
Yay.
All righty. Adios.